Well, I'm going to let you just kind of introduce yourself. We're back a second time. Viewers may not know that, but I had some technical difficulties. Obviously, camera quality is way better now. Audio quality is going to be great as well. And I have Bernadette with me. So, you want to give a little rundown on what you came in to talk about today?
Sure. So I'm Bernadette Kerkes. I'm the VP of Business Development for Escrow Options Group, and I'm going to be talking about cryptocurrency and what that's going to look like in our industry's future.
Okay, so cryptocurrency. Are you seeing cryptocurrency in real estate? Because I have yet to come across a transaction where someone's actually used
Yeah.
partial cryptocurrency to purchase a house or.
That's because it's technically not allowed yet,
Okay.
but we are getting an exorbitant amount of questions on accepting cryptocurrency as closing costs. So that's coming up quite a bit. I would say in the last maybe 6 months, we've been asked quite a few times.
So what is it that's holding people back from being able to do that? Obviously, rules and regulations from the government, or is it
Right.
each
So
individual escrow company?
it's both. From what I know, and obviously I haven't asked every escrow company because it's saturated with them, but the ones that I know are great, reputable ones will not accept cryptocurrency, and it is because of rules and regulations around the funds, specifically insurance. So we all know that there is no insurance around cryptocurrency right now. It is a form of payment, but unless it's insured in some way, it could just vanish. So there's a lot of risk there,
Is
and
there?
there
Isn't one
is
of that the benefit of cryptocurrency is because it has to kind of align within that blockchain? So isn't it secure within itself?
within itself, but there's no actual collateral backing it either. So you have that.
If it's secure to where, I mean, so from my understanding, and I
Hmm.
may be completely wrong, but you can't really fake a crypto.
Yeah, you
Just
can. And
can you?
yeah, so there was a $15 million lawsuit on it a few years back. Like I think like 2, 3 years back.
So someone actually came up with a program that could predict what
Yeah.
the previous and then
Yeah.
subsequent blockchain had to match up.
Right. So basically it was like just a fraudulent cryptocurrency. So and to give you an idea of that,
Is
unless
that
so
called a shit coin? Is that what people refer to as a shit
so
coin?
well, so there's 1,300 different types of cryptocurrencies that are currently being used right now, right? So it's not just Bitcoin, which is what is the biggest one,
Yeah.
and it's the one that everybody thinks of. Okay, cryptocurrency is Bitcoin, but no, there's actually 1,300 different of them, different ones,
Dang.
and there's over 100 of them currently being made that are going to surface in the next few months. So it's a big thing. It's going to keep growing. Actually, the FDIC is coming up with their own right now. And the reason for that is because they can control it, one,
Yeah.
and two, they can insure it because it's the FDIC. And then they know that this is where the future of currency is going. I mean, I would say probably in our lifetime, if not 10 years or less, we're going to see this form of money being the first form of any type of money, really.
Yeah.
So,
And do you think that's going to help battle with some of the stuff we're seeing right now in the market, such as inflation? I mean, can't you kind of just continue to mine for coins as you would continue to print money? Or is there a limit to that? That's where my knowledge kind of stops.
yeah.
Do
So,
bitcoins run out, or are people still mining
no,
these?
people are still mining them.
You just have to have millions of dollars worth of computer power in
It's
order
kind
to
of,
do
yeah,
so?
it's kind of crazy. Like, I don't quite grasp that part of it,
Okay.
um, which is very questionable, especially because there's 1,300 different kinds. So it's like, well, how many cryptocurrencies are out there, really?
Yeah.
You know? But for us, from an escrow standpoint, the reason why we don't accept it is because there is no insurance backing it. And also, you have, what if somebody hacks that server?
Right.
So, which is also a thing, has happened. And then we all know that cyber theft and wire fraud is already on a high, especially in real estate, especially in South Orange County, if not Southern California.
Yeah.
So,
See, I don't know how much I almost don't want to say it's hacking though. A lot of it's phishing, which is
well, yeah,
the older generations. Someone just literally texts them, "Hey, this is the Department of Tax and Collections, and you're behind. I need you to click this link, and then it's gonna bring you to a page where you need to log in." They're like, "Okay," and then boom, they have
right,
their information for that system, and it's kind of like they just willingly gave them their login information to their banks, their social security number.
hmm
So, I mean, is that a lot of what you're seeing, or is it legitimately people hacking?
So it's both. A big part of it, yes, is phishing. And it's just being able to educate people and let them know what that is, what it looks like, and pretty much not to do it, which a lot of companies don't. It's not a part of their policies and procedures. It's not a part of what they train, right?
Yeah.
So that is a big deal. But there is also hacking, and you might not see it on your end, but on the escrow end, we do. And the reason why we see it is because we hold all the money. So they're attacking us. Now, there was an escrow company that was in Carlsbad, I believe, either Carlsbad or Oceanside, that was hacked. And the reason they were hacked is because they sent out wire instructions that were not encrypted, and those were hacked. And now they have access to the escrow company's bank information, and they were able to get in and take a whole bunch of money, and that company had to shut down.
How does someone do that? Like, do they just kind of set like an alarm? Like, I'm picturing an old man in the 1980s sitting on a ham radio waiting for the right slew of words to pass by before he goes, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Do they have like online tracking programs to, like, in a set email, you know, maybe someone sends an email that's not encrypted and it's on the internet somewhere, and they have systems that go, hey, this guy just mentioned $2 million. Do you want me to go look and see what the IP addresses were? Let's see what kind of company it is.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I've actually been trained in this.
Oh,
so.
Awesome. I was really hoping you knew more about this.
Yeah. So surprisingly, it's not one person sitting behind a screen. It's a person that controls an algorithm, and that algorithm fishes for keywords. And when it finds those keywords, it brings that up, and then the person can then continue what it is that they're doing. So they're not sitting there in front of a computer like, I'm just going to try out this escrow company today and see what happens. It's more of like, okay, I just got an alert. I just got an alert that, you know, this person sent out wire information because there is, you know, one of my algorithm key things that are in there is the number of account numbers.
Yeah.
And that pops up, and then that's really all it takes.
Wow. So then how do they go in and actually hack that? Do they just kind of step in as like an artificial liaison accepting the wire transfer?
Well, here's the thing. As soon as they can hack into that email that was sent, they now have access to the person that sent that email, their entire inbox, right? Yeah. And they now can get in. So what they can do is they can now pretend to be this person. They can copy their signature line, copy everything, and create a fraudulent email. So let's say, for example, your email address is like James at Ransom House. Well, they can do James and maybe put like a period right before the S at Ransom House. And it's undetected if you're looking quickly.
Right.
And you're not paying attention. And so somebody might think, yeah, that's my realtor. Like, he knows what he's talking about. He just sent me this wire instruction and told me, hey, my bank, our bank changed. You know, we switched banks. We have to have your down payment wired to this account instead.
Yeah.
And now they have our letterhead.
That happened to me on Instagram. Yeah. The guy made a fake account, used all my same photos. And I had even my sister-in-law was like, hey, I'm sorry. I saw her at a wedding. She's like, I'm sorry I didn't get back to you. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? She's like, you said there was something you wanted to talk to me about? I was like, was it cryptocurrency? I was like, that wasn't me. She's like, what? She was so confused. All the person had done, instead of a period between Ransom House, they had an underscore.
Yeah.
That was
so
it.
That's really all it takes.
They didn't even think twice. And I've noticed on emails, the way that to really trick somebody is you change the profile picture. Because you have that little circle that pops up. And if you just mimic or screenshot that person's profile picture and drop it in yours, like, you're right. Most people don't take the time to read every single letter in the email address before believing it.
I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do to kind of, you know, like, make yourself a little bit more aware. But 99% of people out there don't know that. And, you know, they're just going to get an email and they're going to be like, yeah, that's legit. I know this person. And they just didn't see that.
Don't know why he needs $5,000 right now, but oh, well, I trust him.
Yeah. I mean, it happens, you know. It happens a lot in real estate.
Swindler. I didn't watch it. I feel like I've watched it after all the memes came out about it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, pretty much that's what he was doing. Developed like a really tiny relationship and then just asked for money. And it's crazy how much trust you can build in a short period of time.
Oh, 100%.
This is maybe a bad avenue to go down because I'm a real estate. It's my job to build a lot of trust in like a face-to-face.
Right.
But
it's also really good. Huh? It is really good though for real estate agents to kind of know what they're dealing with, know that we are a huge target, and be able to educate their clients. Right.
Okay, so what does your company do to protect clients from that, aside from encrypting emails? Because that's something that you can find. I mean, you being knowledgeable on it, I think, is a huge pro.
Mm-hmm. So we're the only escrow company in the state of California that's annually trained by the FBI.
Oh,
on
wow.
cyber theft and wire fraud. And it's not just our escrow officers. We literally have anybody that works for us is trained annually.
That's
So
huge.
it's our sales team, admins, receptionists, the president of the company, everybody.
Now, how did, I mean, obviously that's an important thing to be trained in.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't more escrow companies do that, in your opinion?
I
Is
don't
it
know.
funds?
I
It's
don't-
super
I
important.
mean, it is super important. So
All
a
you
lot
need
of
to
them,
do is lose $1 million one time, and I mean, that's your reputation.
it's not
That's
even
gonna
your reputation, it's your whole company. You will shut down.
really.
At that point, you will get shut down.
Oh, wow.
Because more than likely you do not have, I mean, look at the sale prices we're dealing with,
Right.
right? So say you have a seller and it happens to be one of your luxury sellers and they're selling a $10 million house. Okay, well, they're probably going to net about $9 million of it, if not a little bit more. And say that money vanishes during escrow. Guess who that seller's coming after?
All of us.
All of us. And I'm pretty sure most of us
Compass,
don't
the
have.
escrow company. I
Right.
would think this specifically the title company. I feel like
No, they're going to sue everybody.
Yeah.
They're literally going to
Well,
sue
we're in
everybody.
California. It's
Yeah.
just, it is what it is.
Exactly. Which is even more reason why to like protect yourself as much as possible. But the one thing that real estate agents also don't understand is that your E&O does not cover if wire
I'm
fraud
aware.
or cyber theft
But
happens.
I'm only aware because past teams I've worked on, I've, knock on wood, I've never been in a court case since 2011. I brokered deals off market between two attorneys, and I'm one of those very careful agents that crosses the T's, dots, and I's. But there's a lot of those really high volume agents where
Mhm.
you can't see everything going through in every little detail of the transaction. I've seen
Right.
shit slip through, and I've seen it cost people, six figures.
Right.
Like a 6-figure check they will have to write after going to court.
Mhm.
And when they get to that point, Ian goes, that they wash their hands. They're like, this was on you, buddy. Like, as
And-
much as you think it protects you, it's very manipulated what exactly it is that they cover.
Right. And I mean, and there is a human error factor, right? Like you have a TC you've worked with for 15 years, you trust that person, and it's that one tiny slip that can cost
I still look
almost
over
everything.
everything.
So which is great.
Just to be safe.
Which is
I want to keep
great.
my record going.
But bigger teams don't really do that necessarily, and then you have your newer agents that come in, and it just takes that one slap on the hand for them to finally be like, oh yeah, I should have.
Right.
I now know better. So there's always that, but I feel like the more we educate our agents on the cyber fraud and wire theft piece itself, now they're able to make better decisions of those parties that are touching that transaction. So they're choosing the right title company, they're choosing the right lender, they're choosing the right escrow company. All these people that are going to have their hands on the bulk of that transaction should all know how to protect the client as much as possible. Now, there's never going to be 100% guarantee, of course, but if you can get close to that,
Yeah,
these are the people you should work with.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's go back, since I think we covered a lot more of like the basics surrounding you, escrow, your history in the industry. How did you get in the escrow into your career now?
The black hole,
Yeah.
as I like to call it. I've tried to get out once, and
Sucked you back in?
got me back in. Yeah. So I actually started when I was a senior in high school, part-time.
How?
My
How did
cousin
you
at the
like, well,
time-
that sounds like a fun
No,
job.
that was I didn't even know what
I worked at a
escrow
beauty
meant.
supply store because I thought I'd meet girls, and I just became friends with a bunch of 80-year-old women.
Okay. Yeah. That's not how it worked
But
out for
it
me.
wasn't escrow. I don't even think that was in the realm of possibilities for me.
Honestly, I had no idea what escrow meant. So my cousin at the time was a loan officer,
Okay.
and his fiance at the time was an escrow officer. And it was during this big refi boom, and she needed help. So I was like, yeah, I'll take the job. And like at that time, it was like a significant amount of money for a 17-year-old to make. So I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll do this part-time. And it was crazy, and it was stressful, but I was making good money. So I'm like, well, I'll just keep doing this and put myself into college, and
Yeah.
then I'll be done. 22 years later,
Holy
not
shit.
done.
That's a long time.
It's a long time. I've seen a lot. Yeah. So I've worked my way from processor to assistant to junior escrow officer, and then now VP of business development. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats.
thank you.
I'd hope you made it that far, because you've been in the business 22 years and you hadn't.
Yeah.
I'd be giving you shit right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are a lot of escrow officers that, that's just,
They get comfortable
that's
doing
what
like
they
the
want
one
to do.
job.
They don't want, and a lot of them are introverts. So for them, it's, I want to be behind a screen. Just, I know what I do. I'm good at what I do. I want to be behind a screen. I want to just get this piece done, you know?
So you're VP of Development and Growth for your company?
Yeah.
So you're not a mom and pop shop. Obviously, that tells
No.
viewers. So how many offices do you guys have?
Well, we are
and
one
where
of
do
the
you
largest
service?
independent escrow companies in the state of California. We have 12 office locations. We're in 5 major counties.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you mind listing those off? Orange County, Los Angeles
Yeah.
County, San Diego, San Bernardino, and
Riverside.
Riverside?
Yeah.
So all of Southern California,
Mm-hmm.
up to basically Santa Barbara, down to Mexico.
Pretty much.
Nice.
But we have clients that are in Santa Barbara and, like, you know, different parts of Montecito County and stuff like that. So we can technically do an escrow on any property in the entire state of California.
Okay.
But our office locations are primarily in Southern California.
Now, let me pick your brain about that trend. So I've gone back and forth on this because I'm going to generalize big time right here.
Okay.
I don't use the cheaper escrow companies because I found it that the cheaper escrow companies make a lot more mistakes and cause a lot more problems within an escrow.
Mm-hmm.
But I do business in Huntington. But a lot of these escrow companies that I worked with in the past are down in Newport, you know, closer to Vashon Island, but you pay a little bit more for it. But I have clients that are still in their 70s and their 80s where when you're going in to sign, they're not very DocuSign friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you were in my position, you have older clients, how important is office location? Is it as important as I'm making it? Because I've actually been like, okay, I'm going to forego working with this high-end escrow company, and I'm just going to use my local favorite just because I know my client's going to want to drive there at some point or 10 times during this transaction.
So this is going to be a 2-part answer
Okay.
from me, because having an upscale escrow company doesn't necessarily mean you're getting the best. It might just mean you're paying more.
Right.
Because escrow is escrow is escrow. Where it differentiates is the level of service that you're getting.
That's what I more so at, like getting updates
Yeah.
without having to ask for them.
Right.
Being very professional in the emails they write to my clients without me
Mhm.
needing to basically type it out. Hey, copy and paste this to them, please.
Right. So there's that, and then it's the services that they provide above and beyond just doing the escrow. So those are the 2 big differentiating factors. I like to think that you want to find something that's just below high end, because I don't think a client should have to pay an excessive amount in escrow fees in order to get those things. At that point, you're basically robbing the consumer, which I don't think is fair. So the second part of that is, if you are dealing with an elderly consumer, your escrow company should do everything that they need to do to facilitate based on their wants and needs. So for us, what we do is we do offer for them to come into our offices, or we provide a complimentary notary service, and the notary will go anywhere the client is. So if the client wants to meet in their home, at their office, at a Starbucks, doesn't matter. We send a professional notary. They handle everything.
I
and they
like the
bring it
word
back to us.
complimentary big
Yeah.
time, because that's the thing is as soon as you start needing some of these additional services, it's an extra $200. There's $60 here, and by the time you're done, you're at $1,500 higher than what you were quoted originally.
Right.
And it's a problem. We go to close, and the finances look differently than the estimated net sheet at the beginning of the process,
Mm-hmm.
and that puts more stress on me.
So I just
I
did.
don't like.
No, it's crazy what some of these escrow
it's
companies
just what
are
happens,
charging.
though. You know,
No,
I'm
it's
sure you
true.
hear that shit all the time, or at least you've seen it going through all the different companies you've
Yeah.
worked for, and being at different stages in the escrow companies. Like I know it's a problem.
It is, and I've worked for not a lot, but some pretty big escrow companies. So I kind of know what is standard, and then what is okay. They're just really trying to just make up something for the sake of a dollar, you know.
Right.
And in the past couple months, I've actually been doing research on what escrow companies are charging, just to make sure we're in line with our competitors and what's happening out there, because with inflation and everything. So we haven't upped our prices, but we've seen additional charges popping up with other companies. And in California, you don't have to regulate or post your fees. So escrow companies can charge really whatever they want.
That's just for title, right?
No, this is for escrow.
But title does
Title
have
does.
to post. They're the only one that
Yes.
it's like kind of state mandated, or at least they have to disclose
They have to disclose
what the pricing is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So with escrow, escrow companies don't have to charge a specific fee. They can charge really whatever
Yeah.
they want. I mean, they have to show it to you on your estimates, obviously. But what I was finding was all the miscellaneous line items that these companies are charging. So not only are you paying your basic escrow fee, but you're paying like, you know, up to 8 different miscellaneous line items, and those fees alone can rack up to over $1,000 in
it's
like
insane.
random
It's
fees.
like you said, they seem made up. I'll see like technology fee, and I'm like, are we paying for your fucking internet?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on
Yeah,
here?
exactly. But it's so funny because then they'll market that they're, you know, tech savvy or that they're an innovative company. And it's like, yeah, but you're charging the consumer for that. Like, I don't think that's fair.
I wonder who does that. Someone just sits back there like, so we print a lot of paper. How can we get the consumer? Oh, like that.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, most companies at this point are paperless too. So it's like the only thing that we're printing are recorded documents.
No,
And loan docs.
Do you have to have like black or blue ink? Like, so back in the day, my only experience with that is like short sales, where you can do DocuSign. There were a few contracts that were, I don't know if it was like with the escrow. I just remember there were some things that you had to have physical signatures on.
Yeah.
Is there anything within a normal escrow transaction where they still need to come in, like the final notarized documents that need to be wet ink?
Yes. So for the seller, they still have to wet sign their grant deeds.
Okay.
So until the county recorders, all of them, make it acceptable to get these documents virtually, they do all have to be wet signature.
Do you see that even happening?
Yeah,
Like-
oh yeah, it's coming.
Okay.
Because they're already talking about virtual notarization.
Okay, I didn't know if it's like where your camera's on, they watch you click on your
Yeah,
keyboard.
I'm not sure how they're gonna do that, and it
seems hackable.
It seems
like
a little
what you were
sketchy.
talking
Yeah,
about, like,
it
the
seems a
same
little
reason why they
sketchy.
wouldn't allow crypto.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how they're really gonna do that, but it's in the works.
Yeah.
So it's like already past just talking about it. So we'll see what they end up doing. But yeah, the original documents it's the grant deed, and then loan documents for a lender. They typically want an original deed of trust. They're gonna want original affidavits, things like that. So anything that's recordable is usually still an original wet signature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to add on the crypto sides? I mean, that's where my interest is.
Yeah.
Well, actually, address with me.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys cover? Like, what are your complimentary fees, or how do you structure the pay for your escrow company, and how is it beneficial over other companies?
So we only charge 2 fees to the seller. So it's your standard escrow fee, which is based on the sale price, which
Is that
technically
a
is like
set
an
base
insurance
and then
based
a
on the sale
couple
price.
cents per dollar? How do you guys price it out?
It's $2 per thousand, and then
Okay.
it's a 600 base.
Okay,
And then we have a processing fee at 200. And that's it.
that's it.
That's it. We don't charge a wire fee. We don't charge a tech fee. We don't charge an email fee.
No notary fee. That's all
Well,
complimentary.
it's complimentary for the seller. Yeah, we don't
Okay.
charge the seller a notary fee.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we'll actually pay for it.
Nice.
So they'll see a credit on our estimate.
And as far as services goes, you said your doors are open for people to come in physically and ask questions if they do want to.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, I don't know. I was a huge texter. Like, especially I got into real estate in 2011. I was probably one of the younger guys doing it.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that you can't text people. And now that I'm like getting older, and I realize how much is lost in text,
Oh yeah.
even over phone calls, like face to
Emails
face.
too. Yeah.
So I've grown apart from it. I'm a very big face-to-face conversational person. It makes my job easier. It makes communication just much more clear.
Well, I think above and beyond that too, real estate will always remain a very personal industry and transaction. So it can't just be, I think this is why Zillow will always just have a glass ceiling over their heads.
I've told this exactly every time everyone asks, "Oh, are you going to get taken over by a robot?" I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
If you saw what I saw go on, it's like, there's the joke that I'm more of a therapist than a real estate agent.
Right.
You hear a lot of people say that, and it's like, it's a funny joke, but it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're dealing with the sale of a property and people are going through a divorce and you're dealing with a multi-million dollars,
Right.
they're not just going to type info in a computer and be like, all right, just shoot back out whatever you think. Like you got to understand motivations for both parties, and you have to make sure that neither party are going to go homeless. Like, you have to learn some really, really personal information about this couple that's trusting you to be involved in it.
Yeah.
And that's not something people typically like to go out and brag about.
No.
I mean, sometimes you see it.
Nobody
I
wants
saw a
to-
car that had like a just divorced with the cans, but like,
No, yeah,
aside
but
from
like
that-
nobody's gonna go into Zillow and fill out a form about like, hey, my mom is passing away from cancer, so
Right.
therefore I need help selling her home. Like nobody.
yeah, just
That's
put it out
so
there for
cold,
any
you
stranger
know?
to see.
Yeah, like that's so cold. That's not something. So like when you really think about it, it's extremely personal because you
Very.
have people that are selling to downsize or selling to help pay for their kids' college tuition, or they're selling their home because their spouse passed away or their mother passed
Or
away
they lost
or
their
whatever
job.
it might be.
Like,
Yeah.
So starting in 2011, I all my first deals were bank owns and short sales. So I started calling short sales because
You start around 2008?
2011,
Oh, okay.
like
I was
at
an
the
escrow officer
very
during that
bottom.
time.
And I got cussed out. Like it's made life easy for me because I don't fear rejection in this industry or anywhere. I mean, I got cussed out so many times, called an insensitive piece of shit, had doors slammed in my face, threats. But it's a hard but I learned how to have those conversations with people. I didn't just go up to the door and just like, hey, by the way, I heard you're broke as shit and you're going to lose your house. I can help you.
Right.
Like, you have to learn sensitivity, empathy, and all these tools that I think have made me a much better agent.
Yeah.
But,
Because really, I think you just nailed it with the word empathy.
Yeah.
And that's not
People
something.
lack that.
Yeah. And that's not something
Even
you can
mine's
get off
fake
of
a lot
Zillow.
of the time. Like,
Yeah.
like, because the industry, you know, after a while and doing this and you see and hear it all, like, you do have to remember that everybody, like, it's whatever experience they're going through is a very real experience for them at the time. Even if you've heard it a million times and, like, it just becomes part of the job, like, you have to remember, like, these are very serious things people are going through. And it's a huge deal of money. In Huntington Beach, oftentimes it's their largest asset.
Just in general. So not even just Southern California, but literally anywhere.
True.
I tell people all the time, selling or buying property is most people's largest investments they'll ever make in their lifetime.
Yeah.
So.
And have ever made up until that point.
Right.
Like, it's, no joke.
Right. Yeah. I mean, could you imagine being a first-time buyer and saving as much money as you possibly can and then kind of signing it away and hoping for the best? Like, that's stressful.
Yeah.
You know? So it's stressful on both sides, and unless you're somebody that has that empathy key factor.
Yeah. So that's where my empathy kicks in. I'm just like, but it's stressful the other way too. If you don't push, like I've had so many buyers over the last couple months where the government told us rates are going to go up. And we've just got priced out of the market.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, just push up a little bit more, like $30,000, $40,000. Like, look, if your rates go from 3 to 4%, it's 120 grand. So let's just go up 50. And we're in Southern California. There's nowhere left to build. Coastal Southern California, it's not going to be a bad investment. I've met people that are like, yeah, I was looking and now I just can't afford it. Like the stress of now knowing that home ownership got so much more expensive. Like, so that's the way I look at it. Either way, you're going to be fucking stressed.
Yeah.
Be stressed with more money in your pocket and with a home and a mortgage versus still being out there giving 100% interest to a landlord
renting
somewhere.
And knowing that your rent goes up annually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's that too. It's like, it's just expensive to live here. But
And that's that trust building thing we go back to, like having that conversation. I think that's what Zillow and Redfin all rely on. Oh, we're a massive company, so what we say should be more valued than what you hear from your mom and pop realtor that just works your one little niche market. But I think it's actually opposite. People like that, I mean, they're hiring people that are on base salaries. And all that tells me is they weren't good enough as a real estate agent to be commission-based only. And it's scary for a lot of people. They don't have confidence in themselves. And so, I mean, if it were me now looking back, I think I would rather hire, someone that's actually going and is like putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, I mean, real estate's an interesting industry, but yeah, for being in it for 22 years, it always comes down to just being able to connect with the person that you're talking to. Like, you just have to be able to do that. You can't do that online.
Nope.
So.
It helps though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge tech person. I love technology. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I love Amazon.
I'll never rely on it, but it does help. I've been trying to run a lot more like video advertisements where people can see me, they can watch me speak, get to know like my face, just stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
Like my mannerisms. And then when I go approach them on a phone call, they feel like they know me just a little bit better than the next guy who they've never seen speak before.
Right.
But you can't rely on that solely.
No, you can't. Yeah. You're a different person
you will always,
person too.
Oh, for sure.
So.
Yeah, I feel like I'm an asshole. I mean, now that I'm thinking about it in general, both off and online. But I don't like smiling. So like when I'm picturing people like, oh, you're so like mean all the time. Like, really? Like, no, I'm joking 24/7. Like happy, upbeat, positive. And I've had a lot of people tell me I don't portray myself that way online.
Well, it'd be really weird for you to smile extremely big in a bathroom selfie. So.
That would be very creepy, especially when I had the mustache.
It would be odd. So I kind of get why you had to do that.
Yeah, okay. That makes more sense. That's the thing is like, I don't think, people don't get that.
Right.
But you, I mean, you're doing a lot of like reels. If we were just talking about before we started on this, like your personality
gosh.
does. See, that's the thing. It's so hard for me to freaking do it, but I know I need to because like I knew your personality better than you knew mine before we met in person. Because you're putting
Yeah.
yourself out there more.
I don't know. My reels are.
They're
I hope-
horrendous.
Yeah.
I've lost sleep at night
They're
because
bad.
of them. No, I'm
Like,
just
I really
kidding.
hope that's not how people judge me. And it's so crazy because now I go to like events with agents all the time. They're like, oh my God, I love that video that you did. It's so
Yeah.
funny. And I'm like, it's so embarrassing.
And it's the
like my
engagement,
daily,
too.
like my daily 20 minutes of
I've
just
seen you
making a
pass
fool
around,
of
though.
myself.
On other agents' pages, I'll see them repost your reels, and it's just like getting the name out there. I mean, you're doing the work for it.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's so stressful.
Yeah.
It's so stressful, but
It's life.
I mean,
these
it's
days.
changing. Marketing is changing. And
Yeah.
We're seeing it now in our industry with everything starting to slow down. Agents are having to figure out how to market all over
Oh, I
again
love
because they
this.
didn't have to in the last 2 to 3 years. Now they're like, oh, I actually have to put together marketing materials. I actually have to call people now. Like,
This
I have
is my
to put together a
favorite time.
program.
I've never got to see this before because I've always been in an increasing market.
Yeah.
And but when the market has been questionable, like I know in like 2013, 14, we like had a little run up and then it kind of leveled off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I hate that. I hate when people can just be like, "Oh, my brother-in-law, just got licensed and he can stick a sign in the yard and get 20 offers." And now that's not happening.
No.
And you actually have to have experience and know how to
Right.
market. I'm like, thank God, like business, I do better during these times. So I'm glad it's shifting.
Yeah. I'm glad it's shifting too. I know it's scaring a lot of people, but honestly, I just keep telling agents that are like, oh my gosh, panicking. I'm like, no, it's correcting itself is what's happening.
Yeah.
And like, we need this. We need this to happen.
It is. It's forced correction in the wrong way, in my opinion. Can we just blame the government? They screwed up everything.
Everything.
They always do.
do.
But anyway, yeah, we'll figure it out one way or the other.
Yeah.
People need a place to live. That's what's good about our industry.
Yeah. And I mean, real estate is a roller coaster ride. You're going to have ups, you're going to have downs.
Yeah.
It just is what it is.
Just surviving those downs.
It's just survival.
Yeah,
it's constant
it's
survival.
instinct.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. But as far as cryptocurrency goes,
Sorry.
what we're actually talking about, yeah, we'll see how that plays out. For us, we're not accepting it until it's FDIC approved. But I think that's coming. I think that's coming pretty soon.
Yeah, I know. Like El Salvador, didn't they like bid on? What was the name? Algorand. It was like a currency that was actually accepted by. I think it was the first government to. I could be totally wrong. Like, don't quote me on this.
But you could be right. I have no idea what's going outside of the U.S., let alone Southern California. So
I gotcha. Yeah, I think they kind of did a test run actually accepting it as government.
yeah. I mean, I
currency.
know there have been a couple of states, more so mid and east coast, that have accepted it as a form of purchasing property. But a lot of them have had issues with it too.
Yeah.
So,
The only thing I mean, I read sports news at night when I'm putting my kids to bed. It's like my little release throughout the day where I just read something stupid that doesn't affect my life. And I saw that one guy actually accepted part of his like his salary via Bitcoin. And the NFL was actually, I know, sucks for him now. It's down like
Yeah.
47%
see,
from their
but
high.
see, if you wouldn't take it as a salary, why would you take it for a property purchase?
I mean, you would. It's,
You know
it's
what I
the
mean?
same.
Like,
That's like real money at that point. Like paid out by the
It's
NFL
just-
Commission, which is a real corporation.
well, yeah,
So
Yeah,
I
but
know,
it's
I think
just-
bad timing on that guy's
yes.
part. I probably paid around 50 to 67. Now it's at like 30 something.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's a risk. It's just a risk, just
It's
like
a
the real
risk.
estate market. Just it's a lot more volatile.
Well, and that is 100% the reason why most escrow companies won't accept it yet, because it's too volatile. It's still too new. I mean, it's
Yeah.
been around for a couple years, but it's still too new. So until there's more, information about it and insurance around it, and it's backed by a little bit more, and there's some sort of actual collateral, it's like,
Yeah, I think at that point, if I was an escrow company, the second that I received the Bitcoin, I would just cash it out for
just
cash
cash it.
value
You would have
fucking
to.
immediately.
You would have to.
You hold it for any length of time. I mean, again, it's a gamble.
But you know that you're going to have some escrow companies that are probably going to open up, side holding accounts where they're going to put that in there hoping that it goes up, because it essentially is like a stock.
Yeah.
They're going to like, oh, well, if I can take this 1 million and turn it into
They
5
can make
million.
extra money.
Yeah,
I mean, if they're informed and they, like right now, I would not
but then
do that.
what does that look like for business tax? What does that look, so it's more than just like, well, it's a form of payment, so you just switch it off and you're good to go. There's a lot more
Yeah,
that entails.
that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about all that. It just sounds like it complicates things even further. So let's keep
It
it out
does
of
for
real estate.
now. It does for now, but I think once it starts to make more sense, and once it's kind of cleaned up as far as like everything that goes with it, I think it's actually going to be really cool.
All right. Well, I'll have to have you back in a couple months, or once we get, just hit me up and be like, hey, I got
We're
notice.
accepting it now.
We're accepting it. I'm like, all right, come back. We got to talk
Yeah.
about this some more. Well,
Yeah.
is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, not unless you have any more questions.
No, I appreciate you being flexible in timing today. Forgot we had a mastermind meeting. Again, I don't know why I was there, but it happened. So thanks again, and I will go ahead and just drop your information down on the screen so you don't have to give the little speech thing.
Cool.
And
Thank you.
thanks for coming on.
Thanks.